Hi, my name is Jenny. I am 25. I have been visually impaired for 14 years, and I'm also a musician. I usually always start with a song, so I'm going to start with my original song, What I Want to Be. That was inspired by White Cane Awareness Month, which is in October, and other visually impaired individuals around the world. Got nothing guys like me to start, actually?
How did you become sight impaired?
Okay, well, when I was 11 and a half, I had a brain tumor that had cancerous traits on it, and I ended up losing my sight. It was something that I was born with that wasn't detected until I was 11, and after, in October of 2004, I actually lost sight completely out of my right eye, but to be honest, nobody actually believed me until it was almost too late, which, honestly, looking back, I understand that, your parents don't want to believe something's actually going to be wrong or there's something bad that's going on. So whenever I lost my sight after that, I was in a slump.
Is that to say that the left eye was fine?
No, I lost, did I say right eye?
You said
Yes.
it right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I meant to say left. Actually, it was, my left eye, I lost sight completely, and over time, I began to lose sight in my right eye. But my vision was pretty bad by November of 2004.
Did the doctors detect at that time that you were slowly losing the sight?
Actually, I wasn't able to get in to see a doctor until November, even though I had an appointment 2 months before. And the year before, I went to an eye doctor, and because I was having problems with my vision then too, but it was really weird, and the doctor pretty much told my parents that I was lying. So, my parents took that doctor's word instead of listening to their child. So whenever it became to the point where I was having blackouts, my parents didn't believe me either then, but they eventually did whenever they took me to an actual doctor that wasn't just saying, oh, there's nothing wrong, she's making it up, and
Wow.
when they did an MRI and found the brain tumor.
What year was this?
2004. So I've been visually impaired for 14 years as of this past December, and
Now that means the left eye is,
completely black.
and the right eye is,
I can see light and very little shadow in here because it's not bright enough for me to see anything beyond that. So, but I am going to share some stories. Liz, I'm sorry, I cannot not do this and not share this story of the public transportation incident. Now, for those of you who are wondering why I said that, Liz was actually my O&M instructor in high school, and there is a meaning behind the story, but when she was trying to teach me how to use paratransit, or not paratransit, but public transportation, I was all ready, set to go, very confident I could do it by myself, get on the bus, sit down, and all of a sudden this guy walks up. Is anyone sitting next to you? No. Oh, can I sit with you? Sure. The guy ends up, he's sitting there and he's like twitching, like moving his arm, brushing my arm with his, and I'm just like scooting closer to the window. He scoots closer to me and I'm scooting more closer to the window, and he just keeps scooting closer to me. And then he starts giving me his whole life story, about what he's doing. He's looking for a job, telling me how old he is, and then out of the blue, offers me drugs.
what year was this?
That was, I think it was my freshman year of high school.
Freshman or sophomore, I'd
Yeah,
say.
I think it was like 2009, 2010.
Did you believe her when she said she had a vision problem?
I didn't know her then.
Okay, I'm
No.
sorry.
No, she,
I knew she was legit when I knew her.
yes. Which was about 4 or 5 years after, I think. Yeah, I've known Liz for a long time. So I get off the bus and I'm like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what just happened to me. And she's like, it's okay. Who was? I said, what's that weird guy with like gorilla arms? So, it was a funny story. And now you're probably wondering, why did she just tell us this story, right? Life is full of lessons and challenges, and you have to figure out how to get around those situations. I ended up telling the guy, no thank you, not interested, and turned my face towards the window. So he got the picture that I didn't want to talk to him. And so you just have to find a way out of certain situations, how to deal with certain situations, and coping with my visual impairment, because I was pretty much on my own, in regards to, trying to deal with it, because my mom didn't have any interest. My dad had no idea what to do, and my sister was just my sister. So is you just have to cope with different situations. So now, what would else you guys like
Did
me
you
to?
tell them about your mom? Because that's a huge part of your life story,
Which part?
passing away.
Oh yeah, okay. So by the time I was 14, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and it was a struggle. I mean, like, my mom is a good person. It's just she didn't want to believe what had happened a few years before, and she eventually dealt with it. And by the time, as I said, by the time I was 14, it was in 2007. I know it was 2007. She was diagnosed with cancer, and for 2 years she fought, and then she just gave up 2 years later in 2009. And she ended up passing away due to cancer that spread, and it was really hard, because not only was I dealing with my sight loss, I was also dealing with the loss of my mom. So, and I actually thank Liz for being there, because, O&M lessons, just having something to focus on really helped.
Can I ask, where were you living at this time?
I was actually living in like 2 minutes from where I live now, right around the corner.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Orange Street, right?
Yeah, Orange Avenue.
Orange Avenue.
We've had that fiasco with Orange Street before.
I mean, you are a Floridian then.
Yes, I was born and raised in Florida.
Mhm.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I think what Jenny's strengths are, so you might have some questions, are Jenny, of all the former students I have, Jenny uses technology incredibly well. So if you
Yes.
have any phone questions, computer questions, Jenny'd be a great resource for you. But she's always been excellent at activities of daily living.
Mhm.
Jenny cooks,
You see my posts all the time on Facebook.
Jenny cleans, and she, as you can tell, she's a young woman who's into makeup. So how does she get her makeup on? How does she use technology? Are you Android or are you
Apple.
iPhone? Apple.
Apple.
Um,
I don't like Android. I like Apple.
So if you have any Apple iPhone questions, how does she access that? Jenny's excellent at activity and cleaning, because Jenny's
Yes.
mom passed away, and it was her dad and her sister. Jenny's always been the person who cooked, who cleaned, who did all the housework, and that's really impressive.
Yep. And I will say this though, my sister did help, down the line. Her and I both were still trying to cope with our mom passing away and stuff, so we kind of just let things go. And so, but to be honest, she's the reason why I know how to cook, because she's the type of person to do something or cook something, and then she's like, this was really easy to cook, and then she'll do it with her eyes closed. Because she's had 14 years experience trying to figure out the best way to show me how to do something, because she was the one who actually taught me how to apply makeup, how to dress, what goes with what, things like that. She didn't teach me how to play guitar, because, I love my sister to pieces, but music is not her forte. So, there's several different things that she's shown me how to do, like matching jewelry with makeup, matching clothes with everything else. So, and I'm just gonna go ahead and, so it was interesting with her trying to teach me how to apply makeup, mascara in my eyebrows, poking myself in the eye. You're not gonna get it the very first time. I mean, if you don't know how to make a 5-course meal, and one day you go from barely being able to build a sandwich to trying to do that, I mean, you can't beat yourself up for not being able to do it, because you have to either have someone show you or teach yourself, which I actually taught myself how to make fried eggs 2 months ago, which is kind of new to me because I usually don't fry anything. So, but she did teach me how to apply makeup, and Pretty much, she just said if it's foundation, bronzer, cover your entire face. So, and then there's hold 2 fingers on each side of your nostrils for blush, and with mascara and stuff, it's, for me personally, it's about knowing your utensils. And I know the men are probably going, why are we talking about makeup? I don't wear makeup. So, sorry about that, gentlemen. But yeah, it's just trial and error for the most part. Cooking in the kitchen is like a science experiment. In fact, my husband is one to tell me, don't leave your science experiments in the fridge, which I have done a couple times.
He calls them science experiments?
Yes, he does, because like,
You have
he's-
growth on there or what?
well, okay, I'll make something. I'm like, oh, this was really good, or I didn't really like this. And I'll put it in the fridge, like, I'll eat it later. And then I'll forget that it's there. And he'll pull it out like 2 weeks later and be like, what did she make with this? And he'll come to me and say, honey, how many times I gotta tell you not to leave your science experiments in the fridge? So, but I do a lot of different things. Like recently, I have been making veggie baked ziti because I don't eat a lot of meat. I rarely eat meat these days, actually. And I do that, and it's like just like science experiment. What would taste good together? But first, you have to master the ability to use different things. And I actually have a friend who recently got her own apartment. She's actually a part of the Conklin program over in Daytona, the Conklin Center. And she uses a rice cooker for cooking, most things. Rice cooker, countertop, stove, the oven, countertop oven, microwave, and things like that, because she does not use her stove at all. One time, I tried to teach her how to make 3-meat spaghetti. She had no part of it. So it's all about being comfortable with what you want to use. So like if you're not comfortable using the stove, eventually you will get there if you can stern yourself, if that makes sense. Like, I'm gonna do this, which is what I usually tell myself every day. I'm gonna do this, whether I like it or not, and that's just, it's a pep talk I give myself every day, but there's many reasons why I do that. So, any questions so far?
I want to tell him about, did you tell him about that you graduated from Armwood?
No.
Okay, Jenny's a graduate of Armwood High School, right
Yes.
here in Sefner.
Mhm.
And remember, Jenny was a print reader, and then she lost all her vision. So she had to learn Braille really fast, and there's not special classes. Jenny had to learn to take all the classes that your children or your grandchildren or nieces and nephews took, because Jenny has a regular ed diploma.
Yes, I actually I had,
In Braille isn't that common,
Right,
not even for the people that are vision impaired,
right.
yeah.
which makes it a further challenge.
Yeah, and I understand that the public schools, you have to learn how to read Braille. So I had from January through, I want to say the very beginning of August to learn Braille, which wasn't very easy for me because, I'm like, I wasn't a good reader to begin with. So, I had lost the only thing that I knew how to read, and then I had to learn how to read something else, and that's where, because I also have, actually recently found this out, I have a form of dyslexia, where I switch things around, it's really weird, because if you give me like 4 different numbers, and you say them backwards, I can repeat them back to you. Please don't do that, that's not nice. So, it's really weird, so, but it was a very big challenge. And another thing about Braille is Nemeth code, which is the code for mathematics. I look back, because I actually still have some of my high school stuff, because I used it whenever I was in college briefly for my algebra class I took. And I'm like, I forgot what this symbol means. It's all about symbols, really, when it comes to mathematics. And the same thing is with Braille music. Now, Braille music I do use sometimes, depending on what it is. So I actually didn't bring any of that with me, but I used to, whenever I play piano, That's the only thing I use Braille music for, and some of the symbols in Braille music are the same as like actual text. So, and it doesn't actually correlate with the notes. So like, if you have C, it looks like D in Braille. So it's always C, D, E, F, G, A. But you have to do, with Braille, it looks like from D through I. So you have to be very, very careful with that. So, and it has, Braille isn't very easy, but the one thing that I don't understand is once you get to college, there is no Braille. So you spend all that time in between 5th grade, well for me it was from 5th grade to senior year, learning Braille, but once you graduate, the only thing you use Braille for is for personal use, which I rarely ever do because I prefer to do audio stuff. I am an auditorial learner. So, any questions?
I have a question.
I have an answer, hopefully.
Okay, I'm speaking as an ignorant person.
That's fine.
I assume, the way I imagine this is that you use one finger to read the notes on the Braille?
For Braille
So
music?
do you have to use the other hand to play?
Okay.
One-handed?
One hand for music, one hand to play. But what I usually do is I would read it and memorize the measures one at a time. So
Okay.
I'd read the measure, play it, read the first measure again, then read the second measure, then play both measures. So sight singing wasn't a very easy thing.
I can imagine.
Yeah, especially whenever you're playing guitar, you know, you have to use both your hands to play guitar. You can't have one hand on the music and both hands on the guitar. You need another hand or two to do that. So, and interesting enough, I only read Braille with one finger because I honestly can't tell you why, but when I first started learning how to read Braille, I learned how to read it with my left hand, which is weird because I'm right-handed. Like, I always wrote with my right hand and still write with my right hand. But I always read Braille with my left, or else it looks backwards to me. So, I just thought that was really... I've never been able to figure that out after 14 years.
You've
It's
had
just-
a lot of challenges.
Yes, I have. But 99.9% of those challenges I've overcome or learned to deal with, which is one of the things that I've had to do on my own. With, like, who here has other people who live with them?
I do.
Okay. How many times do you put your measuring cups in one specific place and somebody moves them and doesn't tell you?
Oh, I hate that.
Yes, that happens to me every time because I love to bake. I honestly made 8 dozen cookies around the holidays and they lasted maybe a week. The cookies I made on New Year's didn't even last 24 hours. But every time I go to bake, I have to hunt for my utensils, which is really aggravating. But it's something I manage because I have an app on my phone called Be My Eyes. And that, for me, is like the outlet I need for day-to-day life. You know, if I can't find something, but I know that it's right on the table, but I don't know if there's anything else on the table, I use that. And Be My Eyes, who here has the iPhone?
I do.
I do? Okay. Okay. Well, the Be My Eyes app is available with iPhones. What you can do is, the purpose of the Be My Eyes app, it connects you to a live person. And pretty much what they do is they help people who cannot see find things. They read things. I've used it for cooking prep stuff. I had like a bag of chicken because my husband only eats chicken and potatoes apparently. And it's really aggravating. I can't get him to eat like broccoli or anything. He's like, nope. Mm-mm. But
Well, who moves all this? If your husband knows you're sight impaired, why would he move it?
because well, he actually has ADHD, so he doesn't think sometimes. And not only that, his dad also moves stuff because I live with his dad too. And they forget because I don't act blind. You know, so it's very easy for them to forget that I can't see when I'm not acting as if I can't see. So I don't know how I managed to pull that off, but apparently I do.
But can you not just talk to them?
I've tried and I remind
Like
them.
I have all my measuring cups in a certain spot, but I have a little basket.
Yes.
So all I have to do is reach under that counter, take out that basket, and they go right back in. So you could tell them, I'm doing this, and this is the way it's gonna be.
I've tried, but
Of course, I've never lived with two men. so
yeah,
therefore
exactly.
I
I'm like
don't,
the only woman
I
in the
know.
house.
And I haven't lived with
only
one for
pigs.
so many years, I wouldn't know what to think.
Sometimes it is frustrating because it's, you know, they move stuff around and they don't tell me, and then I spend an hour trying to find it. But it's something that I live with, you know, and I'm like, okay, this is just gonna challenge me and test my patience, see if I can really do this, you know. So it's like an adventure treasure hunt for me, especially when it comes to my baking stuff, because I do bake a lot of cookies and cakes and things like that. But I completely lost train of thought.
You enjoy baking then?
Yes, I do.
That's good.
And I will share the
Well, how do you
recipe.
set the temperature on the
Oh,
stove?
okay. So I have tactile stickers that I got from Maxiates, and my husband actually put one of the labels on the oven, which it's set at 375. And well, I have my timer on my phone, and that's the only timer that I use because I have an actual timer, but the labels keep coming off, so I don't use it because I'm not the only one who uses that timer. So it's just I have a labeling system, rather it be, you know, you can also do labeling systems for that. I mean, you could do, you know, 375 or 350, and you could do, put different, like, sticky dots, tactile labels.
Now, where did you get those?
Maxiates,
Maxiates is the catalog.
yes.
Oh.
Or you can get them from the Tampa Lighthouse store.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I first learned about it.
Yes, I actually just bought some sticky dots from the Lighthouse store. The only difference is between the catalog and the Lighthouse store, you're paying $3.05 for 25, or you could pay like three something, a little bit more than $3.05 for 100. So I kind of just did at the Lighthouse store because you also have to pay a little bit for shipping, obviously. But it's
Not at the
that
Lighthouse store, you don't pay
No.
for shipping.
much. No, that's because you can just walk in and just pick it up.
No, I just call the girl and she sends me things.
Oh, okay.
Cheryl.
Oh,
In
yeah.
fact, I
love
just ordered
Cheryl.
Marin and another friend of mine
Yeah.
the address book because I really have a beautiful address book. I love it. So I ordered one for Marin and I just called Cheryl and ordered them.
I actually didn't know you could do that.
Oh yeah.
I always go down
and
to
it's
the
no
store.
I get my 2020 pins and I just give her a phone call. Tell Cheryl I want 6 2020 pins. She sends them to me and I don't no shipping. I mean, you know, I just give her my debit card or
Yeah.
and then she ships them to me with no. And actually, she's shipping Marin's book separate because I didn't know when I'd see Marin. So I gave her Marin's address. She's going to ship Marin's book to her, and then she's going to ship Miss Dot's book to me. So I work with Cheryl, and she's wonderful.
Yeah, I do. Honestly, the reason why I go down to the Lighthouse store is just to get out of the house because I don't really get out of the house that much because, you know, my husband works. He works.
So you
6
get
days
down
a
there by
week.
the bus?
I take Parrot Transit.
You said the only reason you go to the lighthouse is for what?
To get out of the house.
Oh,
really.
get out of the house,
You know,
okay.
it's a familiar place to me. You know, I know everybody who works there, and you know, when they ask me to come in, I'm like, okay, yes, I'll be there. You know, I usually don't miss an opportunity to go see my Lighthouse
So
family.
you know Chelsea and Jennifer?
Yes, I do.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I actually just completed a class with Jennifer last week. Yeah, last week.
Great people.
Last Wednesday. It was just a refresher JAWS course. But I,
You want to tell them what JAWS is?
okay,
I
so,
don't think they know.
okay, I'm just gonna ask, do you guys know what JAWS is?
JAWS?
Yes. And I'm not talking about the,
Movie?
Big fish?
Fish.
no, I'm not talking about the big fish. Is that a yes or no?
No.
No.
No? Okay, so JAWS is a screen reader for computers. It works kind of like VoiceOver on your phone. depending on if you have Apple or Android. But if it's Apple, it's VoiceOver. If it's Android, it's TalkBack. And what it does is that it reads everything on the screen, and you're able to navigate by using various keystrokes to navigate various programs, websites, emails, things like that. And I actually prefer to use that over, when it came my senior year of high school, I preferred to use my laptop because I was more of an auditorial person anyway. And you're able to research stuff. You don't have to ask someone to do it for you. And I honestly would be very lost if the JAWS program didn't exist. So it's pretty much just something that it's a software you download on your computer. You can download a demo version from Freedom Scientific.
Yes,
Is it .org or .com? I think it's .org.
I think it is too.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it's .org. And you can do like a test run, see what you do, or see how you like it. And so that's pretty much what JAWS is. It's just a screen reader that allows you to operate a computer. Any questions?
Want to tell them how you get around, Jenny?
Okay. I actually use a Cytcane. Do any of you in here use a Cytcane?
Is that the regular standard white cane?
Yes.
That's what I use.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anybody in here thinking about getting a guide dog? I'm taking that as a no. It's okay. I have friends who, I have a friend named Chris Walker who tried to go to get a guide dog, and it just wasn't for him. So it's not for everyone, so it's okay. I was actually thinking about getting a guide dog myself, but I can't have animals in my place where I live, which stinks. So.
Well, if you're sight impaired, how do you take care of a guide dog?
Okay, well, I've always had dogs. When I was a senior in high school, my dog had puppies. So, and it is similar to what I understand, but I actually raised those puppies myself. So they do teach you at the guide dog school how to care for the dog, how to maintain it, and I think, depending on the school, they even cover vet bills. I think it's one in California that covers the vet stuff. I think. Not really sure. But they do teach you all that stuff. But, when it comes to a service dog, as I said, I've always had dogs in my life, and so I actually I really wish I still had my dog.
So you bathe the dog, you take it
Yeah.
out and do all those
You
things that
bathe
it has to
it,
have.
groom it, walk it, but a companionship happens whenever you have a service dog. They learn you pretty much.
The only reason I'm asking these questions, I've been with my family up there in 3 weeks, and they got this little doggy that can't be more than 12 inches long, and this Callie is requiring so much work. I don't know how you take care of a big dog. I mean, they've got that dog here and there and whatever, and I'm like, whoo, my daughter works harder at taking care of Callie than she does the big kids. I'm telling you.
Well,
So I'm
there
like,
is-
how do you take care of a guide dog if you have a sight problem?
Well, there is a difference between a regular pet dog and a service dog. Service dogs, depending on the dog, may be a bit more tame. You do still have to groom them like you would a regular dog, but you also have your harness or various, Liz, I don't know what it's called. It's the harness and the other thing.
Halter?
Yeah, yeah. So there are differences between the dogs. So you're not
So
going to
you're not changing its sweaters 3 times a day so it looks
No.
cute.
No. Service dogs are actually more of a bigger dog. They're not going to be those little ankle biters. Even though I love Chihuahuas, I raised 8 Chihuahuas my senior year of high school. They're really cute. I will share that story with you guys here in just a second, though. But usually they're more of a bigger dog. You don't have to worry about changing their sweaters. I mean, if you have a short-haired service dog and you're like, it's 39 degrees outside. He's probably gonna get cold. I mean, I guess you could. I don't really know if you are able to do that. But if I had a service dog that was short hair, kind of, and it was like 35 outside, yeah, I'd put a little sweater on him. But not for like to make him adorable, but to make sure that he stays warm.
Well, this one is to make adorable.
Isn't it safe to say that for a dog to be considered to be a service dog or to be used for the police, the dog is, shall we say, what's the word, pre-screened or tempered? Not every dog masters,
Okay, that's actually a
that true?
question for
Yeah,
Liz.
absolutely.
yeah.
Because didn't
There's-
you have two?
Yes,
dogs?
I've had 4
Four?
dogs out of, the nearest guide dog school to us here where we live now is Southeastern Guide Dog Schools, which is Palmetto, Florida. You know where Ellington Mall is, we all know where that is, okay. It's
Yeah.
right down by there. And some of their dogs don't make it for various reasons. And they decide that in the dog's life by 18 months.
Yeah.
So then it would be a career change dog. One of our dogs didn't make it because she was afraid of men. One of our dogs, you can't be a guide dog if you're afraid of men. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
One of our dogs was a squirrel and bird chaser.
Oh, boy.
That doesn't-
Definitely don't work.
That doesn't
That
work
definitely
out
doesn't
either.
work.
We had a big yellow lab, and Southeastern said it was probably one of the smartest dogs they had ever had. His name was Colby, but Colby, he didn't feel like being a guide dog.
No.
And so they could tell him anything they wanted, and he knew exactly what he was supposed to do.
He just
So
didn't feel like
he
it.
got dismissed because he was a career change dog, because he was just too stubborn. The dog we have now is a
Had
little,
an attitude, huh?
he did. He was a great family pet. He was a perfect family pet. He just
Yeah.
didn't feel like doing all that stuff. And he was so smart that he knew, I'm not gonna do it. And that was the end of
He
it.
was smart enough to outsmart
He-
anybody.
And these are professional trainers. They don't play
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
They know how to make dogs do things, and they
Yes.
couldn't make this dog. The dog we have now, maybe I can bring to a meeting. She's a very interesting dog. Her name is Cece. She's 10.
Oh, yeah.
Cece was a guide dog. She made it through the program. She was working in South Florida. Her handler called up and told Southeastern, hey, my dog is going blind and my dog has cancer.
Aww.
At Southeastern, they maintain, and this is not true of all guide dog schools, Southeastern maintains ownership of the dogs. So Southeastern set one of their vet techs and one of their trainers down, and Southeastern decided that it was not a good environment for the dog. So they brought the dog back, but she had worked for 5 years, plus she would have been a year and a half. So she was probably like 7 then. So she was too old to go and be retrained to go with another handler. So she was put up for adoption. So she's our dog now. Great dog,
Yeah.
very
I
smart.
saw pictures of her on Facebook.
Yes.
So.
So there's a variety of reasons. There's a great movie if you want to watch it. Maybe we should watch it as a group sometime. If you have cable and if you have on demand, search the movie Pick of the Litter. And it's out of San Rafael, the guide dog school in California. And it talks about, and it tracks, I believe it's 8 puppies or 6 puppies. And they put their names up there and they go through them. And they, from the second they're born to whether they make it through school or not. And I'm not gonna tell you how many of them make it, but the percentage is very small, let's put it this way. And that movie is called Pick of the Litter. Really interesting movie. And if you watch that, you'll totally understand the training process. You'll understand why some dogs make it and some don't. The typical dogs for guide dog schools these days are labs, standard poodles, because they're hypoallergenic. Now that requires a little more maintenance, as you were saying,
Yeah.
because they have, and then there's one guide dog school in the US that only does German Shepherds.
Yeah.
it's advisable to get a guide dog in your area because like Southeastern trains for, our big lightning storms,
Yeah.
our big
Oh, yeah.
wader birds, things like that. But if you're going to be traveling in New York City, you need to get a dog that's trained down by the
Traffic.
city so that they understand more street crossings, and public transportation is the big one
Yeah.
that they'll be trained on.
Mhm.
Also then, if you have a problem with your dog, like the person in South Florida thought they were having a problem with my dog, then a team can go down because you're in the same area. It's Southeastern's mission to provide dogs primarily for the Southeast.
I would imagine training dogs is about like training people or people that go into sports. Some people make a sports program, whether it be
Exactly.
football, baseball, whatever, and others don't.
Exactly.
Dogs are the same way. Some are trainable and some are not trainable.
Can you imagine the dog's point of view here? What's wrong with this human? Doesn't this human catch on or what?
My family dog.
I've been raising humans for 5 years and this one just don't get it.
Yes. Like my family dog.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. My family dog I've had for, oh boy, almost as long as I've been blind. We've had him for 13 years. Yeah, 13 years. He still thinks he's a puppy, but that's beside the point. He's learned me as a person. Like, he's not a service dog, but anytime we'd go on a walk, his way of telling me, hey, there's a car behind you, was walking around me, wrapping the leash around my legs and pulling me to the side of the road. So, or
To stop
he,
your forward movement.
yeah, or he just simply put his paws up on my hip and kind of like try to push me, because he didn't know how to, or he still doesn't know how to actually be a service dog. But as his owner, he knew that I couldn't see. Sometimes if I was looking for something, be like, where'd my pillow go? He'd hear pillow and throw my pillow at me. I don't know if I ever told you about that, Liz.
No.
Yes, Cracker, my Beagle Lab
Right.
mix, the
Right.
saltine cracker dog.
Right.
Yeah, him. He's still around. He lives in Orlando now with my dad.
Oh, I was gonna ask.
Yeah, he's the only one left.
We also, Jenny and I have, if you're interested in that, we have a friend who also graduated from our Armwood High School, who has a service dog,
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Right? Yeah, I actually saw her last week.
Vanessa has a black lab, if you'd like a
Yes.
speaker to come in and talk, but she's
Yeah,
a
she-
student at HCC.
No, she's at USF now.
She went to USF, my
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah, she started yesterday.
That's right. I knew that. She has a black lab service dog.
Yeah, I've actually never seen her with him. She never brought him to the lighthouse, which is sad because we used to walk all the way down to the gas station down the street from the lighthouse.
Right.
It was a fun day, very fun day. But yeah, she would actually be more beneficial in regards to service dogs than me, because I've looked into it, looked into Southeastern, but I do not specifically own one. But I do have friends who do, and they always talk about their service dogs. And it's not just that they work for them, they're also their best friend. So you have to be a dog lover. I would highly recommend if you wish to have a service dog.
And it's a long waiting list to get a service dog from Southeastern. Isn't there a long waiting list for people wanting the dogs that they have available?
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
But it's a fine line too when you get a dog, because if you don't keep your dog trained and you make this dog a pet, then traveling with them is gonna become unsafe.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line, and that's what was going wrong with my dog's situation in South Florida, was that the dog was not being used for travel, it was made a pet, and so then the dog forgot what she was supposed to do.
Yep.
And so it's a fine line. You have to understand that your safety is contingent on the way you keep this dog trained. So it's a very fine line between keeping that dog as a pet and keeping that dog as a service dog. And that's what I think is so hard for people to sort
Yeah.
out.
That's why I actually
Do you
don't
think
have.
the dog knows the difference?
Yes.
When they're off, when they're not in harness,
Mhm.
they're a pet. and they're supposed to play. When they're in harness, they're supposed to be
okay.
working. But you have to make them be in harness, even if you don't have any place to go that day. You have to make them practice that day, and you have to, decide that they have to practice their job that day.
Which
Wow.
is why I don't have one. I did want one at one point, but at the moment my area isn't very safe for that. So maybe someday, just not right now. So I did tell. I cannot remember your name. We rode in the car together.
Are you going to tell me how
Yes.
not to overcook the cookies?
Yes, that and the potato in the microwave story.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna start with the potato story. So, this is just a story to let you guys know that mistakes happen. They are fixable.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yes, I will. Okay, so I was trying to figure out how to make baked potatoes in the microwave. And for some reason, I had it in my head that you put them in there for 15 minutes. You already know where this is going, don't you?
Yeah. Found out myself.
Yeah, so, I poked the hole in 2 potatoes, put it on a plate, put it in the microwave, set 15 minutes. Okay, good to go. So, I'm doing stuff, and like 5 minutes go by, and I'm like, they smell really good. 10 minutes go by,
Where's the fire extinguisher?
under the sink.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
next thing I know, my sister's running into the kitchen. Black smoke is coming out of the microwave, and she's like, "Oh my god!" So, it's okay to make a mistake. It happens. Always have your fire extinguisher handy. So, and then she actually did better. She actually set the oven on fire where we actually needed the fire extinguisher. But, that just proves that, rather if you're blind or sighted, anybody could do it. Mistakes happen, so you just gotta live with it, including dropping your party pizza in the oven, which I've done once. After that, I decided to use a pizza pan. So, but the trick about chocolate chip cookies is you want to make sure that you make them all equal sizes, and you only bake them between 9 and 11 minutes, depending on how big the cookie is and how you like them anyway. So, but I will talk to you about that after we're done, unless the rest of you want to know my secrets in regards to baking cookies.
Larry already knows it.
Okay, so you're probably just now wondering what happened to the video. And I'm really sorry, but the second half of the video did not record, so I'm just going to sum this up by telling you that it's okay to be visually impaired. It's okay to make mistakes. No one's perfect. Rather, if you wear 2 shoes of different colors, same style but different colors. Rather, if you nearly burned something, rather, whatever it may be, it's okay because no one's perfect. And you're not alone in any of this. Somebody else also can relate to you, like me. So I just wanted you all to know that it's okay. It doesn't matter if you're visually impaired. It doesn't matter if you're sighted, because even sighted people make the same mistakes that us visually impaired people do. So I am going to end this video by playing this last song, which is what You're Not Alone. Hope you enjoy. It's time to make a change. So don't walk alone on your own. Thank you. Hope you all enjoyed. See you next time.